Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate it. Thank you all for having me. It's an honor being here. I was the HSBC Bank whistleblower back in 2010, 2012. I helped stop billions of dollars in HSBC Bank. This bank was intentionally trying to get money to terrorists and drug cartels. So when I was there, I started passing information to the CIA and then the FBI. And then I didn't even know what whistleblowing was actually back then. I didn't know what it was. I was trying to do the right thing. I felt there was a national security risk. I needed to do something about it. It's funny because I was interviewed by Reuters initially. They're the ones who broke the story. And I'll never forget, the reporter said to me, he said, you should file a whistleblowing claim before we release the story. And that's when I initially filed a TCR on my own, and then a lawyer came in later. And it was interesting because Reuters broke the story. It made international news. And then Rolling Stone, I was actually featured in Rolling Stone magazine in 2013. Matt Taibbi did a great story called Gangster Bankers Too Big to Jail. And it was interesting though, because I got a lot of media attention, but I was broke. I had no money. So, you don't get paid for these types of things. And then Netflix came to me in 2018 for the movie Dirty Money. I did a whole interview with them. It was actually interesting because I interviewed with Netflix in their studio for maybe 3 hours, and they condensed it down to about 15 minutes of airtime. But that's just what happens. But the movie's based on what I did at HSBC Bank. It's called Dirty Money Cartel Bank. But it's interesting, though. A story I wanted to tell you guys was that when I hired the whistleblowing lawyers, it was actually Berger Montag out of Philadelphia. They advised me not to talk to the media. They said, whatever you do, don't talk to the press. And I went against that. So I actually did go to the press, and I did talk to the press because I wanted the story to get out there. And I'll never forget, I was asked by a reporter once, they said, this was right before the story broke, they said, do you want your name in this, in your photo? And they said, you're going to put yourself in extreme danger if you do that. And I'll never forget, I thought about it. And I obviously, I put my name and my picture to it. But I did that because I was advised that the credibility of my story would go nowhere if I didn't do that. And I felt, again, there was a national security risk. I had to help protect the United States. So I did it. And then Hezbollah put out a target photo of me. I had drug cartels and terrorists coming after me for years. It was not a good situation. And I guess based on the movie Relay, they were talking about paranoia in this, but I had like very real threats. So, but it was interesting though, because I did interview with Brian Ross at ABC News. And I'll never forget walking past Barbara Walters' office, and I did a whole segment with ABC News, and they interviewed me for about an hour, and they never aired the story. It was a catch and kill. And I want to advise you guys on this, that sometimes reporters will do that. They'll film your story, or they'll capture your story, and then they'll kill it. And why ABC News didn't air the HSBC story, I'll never know. But it was a shame because CNN, a lot of other major news networks came to me, and then they didn't want to film the story because they were afraid Brian Ross would go ahead and release the footage and screw over the other networks. It's very interesting, this politics and this dynamic that goes along with it. And it's a shame because there's a national security risk and you're trying to get your story out there, and there's this whole underworld of politics in the media. And the media is very afraid of being sued. They're very afraid of it. And HSBC Bank is one of the largest banks in the world, and they have the lawyers and the resources to take down a major news network. But again, my story did get out there. I went against my lawyer's advice. I put my name to it. I felt, again, I wasn't out for the money, for the whistleblowing reward money. I wanted to help stop terrorist financing because the money was going to make the IEDs to blow up our troops. Like, it was a very serious situation. I had to do something to try to save lives. But again, so Netflix did a story, and then John Oliver recently, I was featured on HBO with John Oliver. It was very nice that he did that. He made fun of me a little bit. It was very funny. I was surprised he did that. But again, what people don't see. So everyone asks me, they're like, "Oh wow, you're on Netflix, you're in Rolling Stone magazine," and you know, it's interesting because what they don't see is the suffering and the pain that goes along with it. That was never aired. You know, like when I was in Rolling Stone magazine, I was living in a 300 square foot apartment. I lost everything after I blew the whistle. I couldn't get a job. As many of you know, as being the whistleblower, you get blacklisted, and I couldn't even afford a bed. I was sleeping on a camping cot actually, and I had this plastic fold-out table I bought for $19 at Walmart, and that's where I was sitting there. And I'll tell you guys a very sincere story, because my company name is Tactical Rabbit, and I'm sponsoring this event. But the name Tactical Rabbit, I want to tell you guys where I got the name from. And this is not in the media, so when people see Netflix and all these the glamour, they don't understand this. So I'll never forget, I had nothing left. Again, sleeping on a camping cot. It was 300 square foot apartment, roaches everywhere, very bad situation. And I was going to kill myself, literally. I was in such a depression. I was going to do it. And I was literally sitting there with a 9mm, and I was going to do it. And I had this pet rabbit. Why I had a pet rabbit, I don't know. I just love rabbits. And I looked at the rabbit, and I said to them, I don't know what this thought popped in my mind, but I said, who's going to feed the rabbit? And I didn't do it. So the rabbit saved my life. So I named the company Tactical Rabbit. But what I did was I said, okay, I need money to be able to start the company. So I had to take action and rise to the occasion and go through. There was no way out. So I went and got a job at P.F. Chang's restaurant. I showed them my picture in Rolling Stone magazine. I had no idea how to wait tables at all. I had an MBA. I said, look, I'll work hard. Here's my photo in Rolling Stone. I'm in a bad situation. I need your guys' help. And they hired me, and I went from working at a Chinese bank to a Chinese restaurant. And I took that money and I founded Tactical Rabbit, and I couldn't even afford a lawyer to do it. So I went to LegalZoom. I went on a payment plan from them. It was $300 to do it. And I formed the company, and I worked so hard over the years. This is back 2012. I formed Tactical Rabbit, and I turned it into a multi-million-dollar company. And that was off of grit and resilience and overcoming adversity. And my message to you guys is this. You can't wait on a whistleblowing reward. You can't wait on the media to air your story. I got lucky where the media took attention to what I did. But there's a lot of whistleblowers out there who do the right thing and they promote justice, but they don't get the airtime. And those whistleblowers are just as valuable as my story. It's just my story is getting out there. But the point I want to make is you have to take personal responsibility. You can't rely on anybody else to help you. You have to get up, rise to the occasion, take action, and do what you have to do to make it. And not just make it, not just survive, but you have to thrive. And that's either going out on your own, doing your own company, professionally, whatever you have to do, you have to make it. Because I'm telling you right now, the whistleblowing road is a lonely one. And it's a road where people are not going to help you. And luckily in this room, we're all supportive and we're all with each other. But when we leave here today, we're back on that lonely road. And we have the support. Jackie with the Whistleblowers America supplies tremendous support. But overall, it all comes down to that personal responsibility. But I wanted to share this story with you because in the media, again, when you guys Google my name, I don't say it out of arrogance or anything, but you'll see I come up right away. And you'll see that, they don't know the backstory of this, right? The suffering, the pain, the depression. They don't know. I lost friends, professional relationships. It was miserable, but I had to do it to save lives. And all of you in this room are doing what you have to do to save lives. And let me pause there and take questions. So I want to answer you guys sincerely. If you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer. There's two choices, okay? And I realized this very early on. You have two choices. When you get hit and you go down in the ring, you either stay on the ground and get a KO and you're out, or you get up and you fight back. Two options. And actually, when you really think about it, giving up is not an option. So you only have one choice. It's very simple. You have to move forward. And Martin Luther King said, it doesn't matter if you if you walk, crawl, whatever you have to do, you just have to keep moving forward. And everyone in this room knows how to do the right thing. And you have to just think of it in baby steps, doing the next right thing little at a time. What's that next right decision I can do? And it doesn't matter if you're going to get a job as a janitor or this, whatever it takes, just move yourself forward one little step at a time. And you know what? People will see that, and then they'll start blowing the whistle and doing the right thing because they'll get inspired by your courage, and they'll take action and do the right thing as well. But Tom, I think you had a question as well.
Yes. I want to know if you won your case, your False Claims Act case, and who your lawyers were.
Yes. Yeah. So HSBC, based on my evidence, was fined $1.92 billion. It was the largest fine in U.S. history. And I was looking to get, I think, $530 million as a result of the case. And I will tell you guys how much I got out of it. And I'll be very sincere with you. The answer is zero. I got nothing. The lawyers, they lost the case. How is this possible? I don't know. And you know what? I was sitting in my camping cot, laying there, crying myself to sleep. And I realized that, you know what? Screw the lawyers. Screw everybody. They're not going to help me. So I have to get out of this camping cot, get out of this 300 square foot apartment, and move on with my life. And you don't have to go and start a company and turn it into a multi-million-dollar. You don't have to do that. It's starting a family, starting over. Having loved ones in your life. There's other things besides material, but you have to rebuild and move on. And again, people say to me all the time, they think I've won all this money, and that's how I started Tactical Rabbit. No, that's not true. I started it off of P.F. Chang's money, making $2.15 an hour plus tips. And honestly, I just want to give credit to P.F. Chang's here for a second, because P.F. Chang's, I didn't even have money for food. Okay, that's how broke. I called up my parents. My dad had cancer. They couldn't help me. I don't come from a rich family. I come from nothing, and they couldn't help me. And I was living off hot dogs. I couldn't even afford the bread for the freaking hot dogs. And P.F. Chang's, they would give me lo mains, Chang's spicy chicken. I lived off that stuff. So if you guys are out there, and by the way, on the road on your way back, stop by P.F. Chang's and get a chicken lo mein or something. Any more questions? Please take my advice on this. I know a lot of you in this room are going through the struggle of whistleblowing. Do not wait on your lawyers. If there's any lawyers in the room, they're going to kill me.
No, nobody's.
Yeah. I already have a terrorism drug cartel trying to do that. So, but the point is, don't wait on your case. Start your life now. You cannot wait on anyone or anything. You know you did the right thing, and that's all. You need to take that internally, instill that in your heart that you did the right thing. It's in your heart. You know it. You don't need money. You don't need someone rewarding you or doing this. In fact, the only reward I've ever gotten for doing the right thing was the Giraffe Award that Jackie gave me at Whistleblowers of America. And being here, it's the first time I've gotten any type of accolades for what I did. In fact, when you look me up in the news, a lot of people attacked me for what I did. Some people call me the fake HSBC whistleblower and this, and they attack me like crazy. But it's true. You'll see this out there. In fact, when I ran for U.S. Senate, I'm not getting into politics, but I did run for U.S. Senate, and a lot of people attacked me on that. They said, "Oh no, you're not the HSBC whistleblower," and this, and they attack you on every possible credibility. But the point is, you have to know in your heart what you did. You did the right thing, and move in the right direction. Again, it's just that next right thing. Focus. Don't focus on the big picture. Just focus on the small baby step. What's that next move you can make? Thank you.
Thank you.